now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for August 2nd. Well, here we are on the second day of the month, and it's a completely interesting scene in the Eastern Pacific, probably one of the weirdest worldwide screens that we've had in a while here, with Hilda, tropical storm, 70 miles an hour power analysis there, 10E, which formed today, and of course the remnants of 9E, which have a possibility of reforming later this week. It's day 63 of Atlantic hurricane season. No systems are active here, and none are expected in the next 5 days. However, rumbles are beginning to appear that we could be seeing something in about a week or so from now. Whether that happens is remaining to be seen. In the Eastern Pacific, it's quite a bit going on right now. 9E now has a 60% chance of reformation. Hilda remains a high-end tropical storm. 10E could become a short-lived tropical storm. And there's an area of interest south of Mexico with a 20% chance of development as well. In the Western Pacific, it is pure chaos. Invest 96, 97, 98, and 99W are active. 96 is the one with the 80% chance of formation. 97 is the one northeast of Taiwan. 98 is the one too far to the east there. 99 is the one that is also aiming towards Japan. In the North Indian Ocean, we're looking at nothing right now as the result of the land depression now pretty much becoming a remnant low inland. The final fix was issued by our analyst earlier, and it does appear that things are going to be remaining quiet for some time in this particular basin. Good news there. Here's the Atlantic satellite. You can see how little there's going on. You can see a tropical wave seemingly exiting the African coastline at this point. Other than that, the only thing that really seems to be prominent is that frontal boundary that is exiting into the western Atlantic at the moment and spanning northwards. In the Eastern Pacific, you can see how much activity is going on there. Hilda is the more prominent one there in the central of all three systems there. What's left of 9E is extremely elongated to the left of it, and of course 10E to the right of Hilda. Can't really see that AOI yet because it's of course not even traceable completely yet. And in the Western Pacific, it's just chaos with the complete amount of invest there. 96W is potentially generous with that 80% chance of formation. I'll get into the other invests soon enough as well, because of course we have that flood or imagery that we always analyze with that. But regardless, it is an extremely active scene. 97W could be exiting and affecting the Ryukyu Islands as well. In the North Indian Ocean, we're looking at what is left of the land depression. Its circulation has actually maintained pretty well for the system that far inland, so really kudos to that. Otherwise, it's just the monsoonal activity that's resuming in the Bay of Bengal. And of course, going back to that Western Pacific, you can see 99W and 98W to the right there. Both of them extremely disorganized at the moment, but it is possible that something could happen. 98W will likely get absorbed into 99W. 97W and 99W will likely end by the time it gets towards Japan. A lot that could happen here. Here are the sea surface temperatures in the Eastern Pacific. We're looking at 30 degrees Celsius temperatures starting to appear much more throughout a majority of the coastal waters there. The Gulf of Mexico is seeing more areas hitting 30 degrees Celsius as well. Main development regions slowly continue to warm up, about 28 to 29 degrees Celsius appearing more, although the Cape Verde Islands remain around 27 to 28 degrees Celsius there. Sure, that will be filling in with the 28s and 29s soon enough. In the North Indian Ocean, we're still looking at those 28 to 29 degrees Celsius waters in the Bay of Bengal there, and then of course, as you get into the Arabian Sea, those get much cooler as you head westward. As you get into the Western Pacific, the waters are relatively warm, 29 to 30 degrees Celsius for a majority of the basin, and of course that is expected to remain the case and could be supporting the potential for all of these invests that have at least a 20 or 30% chance of formation over the next 5 days. However, some of them have shorter cycles of development than the other ones, so whether that window is used remains to be seen there. Here are the sea surface temperature anomalies. Seeing those ENSO neutral conditions continuing across the Pacific there, we'll be seeing that La Nina develop eventually, more than likely. The Sea of Japan remains exceptionally warm. The subtropics in the Atlantic also remain exceptionally warm. Not as warm as the Sea of Japan, obviously, but regardless, still warm. Main development region looking pretty warm as well. On this day in 2014, it was extremely active as we had Super Typhoon Halal, which was beginning its peak as a Category 5 typhoon. Nakri was passing southwest of South Korea. Bertha was a tropical storm in the Atlantic, Iselle was a Category 1, would eventually make landfall in Hawaii, and Genevieve was on one of its stints as a tropical storm before it would cross over into the Western Pacific and become a super typhoon there as well. So quite a bit going on this day, and a few notable names with that as well. Of course, our On This Day products are powered by Cyclone History. You can follow our Twitter there at the bottom. Well, here we are. The next name in the Atlantic remains Fred, followed by Grace. In the Eastern Pacific, it's Ignacio, followed by Jimena. And in the Central Pacific, those Hone Wanners will still have to wait at Amazon because it's still out of stock for that tropical storm there. In the Western Pacific, it's Lupit, Marine, and Nita next if all three of those form out of the 5. And in the North Indian Ocean, the next two names there are Gula, followed by Shaheen. Moving on to the Southern Hemisphere, the next two names in the Southwestern Indian Ocean are Anna, followed by Batsire. In the Australian region, it's Patty, followed by Ruby. And in the South Pacific, it's Cody. I'll be back for another Tropical Weather Bulletin tomorrow night.